Really exciting, some of the possibilities that are out there now.
Well, there's a couple of things that come to mind. The first one I wanted to mention, you mentioned the agrarian revolution. A couple of people agree that it's you said the worst thing that happened to humanity. Well, it also arguably, civilization comes from it. So it wasn't like all bad, right? Right. No, but you're saying in terms of the body.
Well,
right?
in terms of the body, and
right.
I certainly, when I heard that, I thought, well, this can't be true. Civilization, it allowed people to have philosopher classes, working classes, different classes of people with spare time when the food was saved. But interestingly, there's now evidence that there were some relatively advanced civilizations much earlier than we thought,
Absolutely.
like Göbekli Tepe in
100%,
Turkey,
100%.
and similar another site near
Egypt,
that
yeah.
in Egypt as well.
Yeah.
So before the agricultural revolution, it may not be that we were all walking around in caves, hunter-gatherers, but you're right, it is a balance. There were benefits of agriculture.
Right. Well, and the thing is that it doesn't have to be one. It doesn't have to be one or the other either. In a way, we've been conditioned to believe that a pill or some kind of medical intervention is what's going to solve our problem. Like we've kind of given away our responsibility for our health to the doctors, and that is also translated into the use of all sorts of medications, many of which also interact with each other in negative ways. And people, I've heard incredibly bizarre statistics about how many medications some people take. And you just think to yourself, my God, they all have side effects.
Yep.
Right, and the more you take, the more likely one of those things will come up, and some of them are hidden, some of them will come later. We're just like a highly medicalized society.
It's a great point. I think part of it too, as we talked about, if I go to a doctor, I'd much rather have a pill than get a lecture about I need to exercise more and change my diet, because I used to believe that lifestyle didn't really matter, and what really worked was a pill. And furthermore, I used to believe, and many people still believe, that taking the pill will actually not just treat the symptoms of their disease, but will actually controls the disease and make them healthier. And that's really not true in many, if not most cases. For example, in diabetes, type 2 diabetes, giving the patient insulin and metformin to control the blood sugar spikes doesn't really control the long-term effects of the disease. You still continue to progress on your diabetes. You get your foot amputated, you get your renal failure, you get your blindness, you get your heart attack, you get your Alzheimer's. So I think people aren't aware that in many cases these pills don't really solve the problem, they just treat the symptoms. And the interesting thing is there's no pill for metabolic disease. There's no pill that you can take that will reverse these things. Metabolic disease is driven by lifestyle, and lifestyle is really the secret to it.
Well, and the corollary, as we've kind of been touching on, right, is that you have to be responsible. No one's going to do it for you, right? Like whether it's Congress versus agencies. I mean, these bureaucracies develop in ways to kind of avoid a locus of responsibility at any cost, right? I mean, and just it's like almost like a theme in our society where I want some kind of external factor to fix things.
Exactly. I love this about your show, questioning the narratives, asking the big questions about science and other things in our society. And to your point, we need to take responsibility. A lot of medicine over the last, the 20th century, it developed a very paternalistic attitude. You let the doctor take care of everything. They're going to take care of anything, and you turn over all responsibility to the doctor. And the problem with that is, as we've seen, the doctor doesn't control your lifestyle. I control my lifestyle. We all control our lifestyle. So we need to learn that we're in charge of our health, not the doctor.
If I recall correctly, like half of what professors in medical school teach their students is wrong. At least, right? I think that's your search. That's very disturbing news.
One of the greatest physicians of all time, Sir William Osler, famously made one of the greatest comments about medical education when he addressed a group of medical students on the day of their graduation to becoming physicians. He said, "Gentlemen," and at the time most medical students were male, if not gentlemen at least. He said, "Gentlemen, I have a confession to make. Half of what we've just taught you is wrong. The problem is we don't know which half." People who understand medical education or even science itself will know this is a process of science. It's all about questioning the existing narrative and throwing out the stuff that's incorrect and learning the new stuff. But Sir William Osler pointed it out beautifully, and that's the theme for my book, with the the clickbait title, "Lies I Taught in Medical School." But it goes through the half of things that I taught were wrong, and hopefully can help people avoid the mistakes that I made, and nearly cost me my health and my life.
Tell me a little bit about how you are trying to change things.
Well, after I was able to reverse my own health conditions, I wanted to get the message out to people. And I'd written many textbooks as part of my academic career.
And just to be clear, the message is lifestyle will transform your health, something like this.
That's right, that we're in charge of our health, and that the chronic diseases that are going to kill us, the medicines that were prescribed for them really don't treat the underlying disease. And if you want to get the root cause, you need to change your lifestyle and change your metabolism and your metabolic health. That was the message. And I began to look at new ways I could get the message out. I'd never been on Twitter. I wasn't a big Facebook person, but so I embraced social media. I began using Twitter. I just passed 100,000 followers on Twitter and have 250,000 total in social media so far. And I began reaching out to them. We were publishing this book. A couple weeks ago, I was in Costa Rica filming a TV series on longevity and health and wellness and metabolism that just got picked up by PBS and the Discovery Channel that'll be airing in about 6 months to a year. I realized that it's not enough just to educate people and get the message out. We need to change things in the healthcare systems. The next step in my journey, I got together with some friends, some other physicians in Los Angeles, and we've purchased and put together a managed care organization in Southern California. It's over 100,000 patients, 200 physicians, 200 primary care physicians, 600 specialists, and these.
So just to be clear, this is an existing provider, basically. Right.
And
okay, wow.
We're acquiring it, and it's important to note that these patients are underserved. In other words, they're Medicare, Medicaid, which means they're socioeconomically disadvantaged, which means generally poor health, generally poor access to health care. And it's our mission to change that. So we're going to bring latest cutting edge technology, some of the things in my book, some of the things we've talked about, these ideas of lifestyle to these people. And the advantage of having a managed care organization like this, instead of an insurance company where you make money by denying claims, with managed care, we make money by making the patients healthier. And we can spend the resources of the organization on anything that works. It can be red light therapy, it could be massage, it can be meditation, it can be movie theater tickets, whatever incentivizes the patients to actually be healthier. And that's what we're doing. And on top of it, we've built an innovation lab where young companies can come up and we incubate their technology, their healthcare technology. We try it on some of the patients who want to try it out, and if it works, we amplify it across the network and help them get started. We're setting up a venture studio fund so that these companies can be funded. And then beyond that, we realized that it's great to do that. It's great to show healthcare change. That's a big step, but we wanted to go one last step, and that was in the education process. And the next thing we've done is set up a new graduate medical education program in Southern California at a hospital there, where we've set up new training programs in family medicine, in psychiatry, in transitional medicine. We're just starting a radiology program that'll hopefully start this summer to look and teach some of these newer ideas of medicine. And we're even considering and talking to some people about possibly starting a new undergraduate program, which would be a new medical school as well.
Right. I mean, that's absolutely fascinating. I mean, there's so much that, like, this is what I keep coming up against, right? There's so much that's not working right.
Yeah, the knowledge is out there, and it's just a matter of getting it into the people's hands. But also, I mean, I used to think that I just need to tell my friend who's a diabetic not to put sugar in his coffee, and he'll be fine. He's an intelligent person. I explained about